What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the number one podcast on the number one division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. As always, joined by your hosts, myself, Alex Fishbein, and we got Dennis Clausen. What's going on, Dennis?
Hey.
Turned into the Fonz this time?
Hey. Friday. It's Friday night.
Exactly.
For a special Friday night edition of the Atlantic Files.
Exactly. Special weekend edition. Never done before in the Atlantic Files history, I don't think. I don't think I've ever done a Friday episode.
Well, nothing says party like us, so.
Exactly. Why not start the weekend with us and then drink every time you hear us talk about, either food or how much Kyrie and KD suck or how much the Sixers suck,
or say
drink
fuck.
every time. Or any curse word, drink for that. To finish your whole drink if we talk about how Kyrie is a snake oil salesman.
Well, with the amount of cursing that goes on from you especially, I'm going to say, get ready to get shit-faced tonight. Take a drink.
Oh, yes. But without further ado, let's get into things. So, as people see with the title of our episode this week, we're talking about Jalen Brunson, we're talking about Brooklyn, we're talking about the Summer League. We're also talking about Phoenix, who matched DeAndre Ayton's offer sheet from the Indiana Pacers. We got some Utah Jazz on the docket. Sixers are being investigated. All sorts of things. So, first things first. Stuff that's actually been happening in the NBA right now is that the Summer League has been going on. I've been watching a good bit. This is not an advertisement or anything, but shout out to YouTube TV for letting me record pretty much every Summer League game there is. So I've been going back and rewatching some Summer League games that I missed throughout this week that I've been on vacation.
Wait, what do you mean?
So like on YouTube TV, you can DVR based on like either team or type of show or like channel. So I just set it to record every Summer League game.
I'm getting anxiety thinking about it. That sounds way too complicated.
Well, all you do is you go to the game, right? And then it says, do you want to record all of this team's game, or just all Summer League games in general?
Let's do all Summer League.
Exactly. So I did all Summer League games. So I have 45 recordings left to watch.
You'll get there by next Summer League.
Exactly.
Dude, Summer League is fucking awesome. I never realized how much I just love it. Like, it feels like the Olympics, kind of.
Oh, yeah. I love... the best part of Summer League is that there's... I mean, from a fan standpoint, there's no pressure. From a player's standpoint, there's a shit ton of pressure because this could be your one chance to, like, show teams what you have and to actually get on the team. But from a fan standpoint, you don't care if they win. You don't care if they lose. You just want to see your draft picks show a little bit of promise, and you're like, fuck yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. There's guys who play well in the Summer League, and you're like, there he is. It's going to be the next shit hot guy, and then they don't do anything.
No, that's very true. I mean, one of those guys, he came in... What game was that? I think it was either the Wizards one or the Portland one. It was Troy Brown Jr. And they even said, they're like, this is the fourth team he's been on, the third Summer League that he's been in, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, I mean, he did actually play some NBA games. It's not like he's only been playing Summer League, but I kind of feel bad for the guy.
I got to put a kibosh on that, though, because I think Troy Brown, so far, as if you can correct me, he's played for the Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
He's played for the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
He's also played for...
I think as of right now, he's on Portland.
All right, so then he had one more before there. Which don't tell me, because it's good. Just give me like 10 seconds.
I'm looking it up just so I know.
All right, just
Uh,
go ahead.
well, it's a trick question. He's only actually played games, like actual NBA games for Washington and Chicago.
Okay,
But I saw him. I thought I saw him for the Portland Summer League team.
but you want
Maybe
to know
I'm wrong,
something? Like,
but I
he
don't know.
could be. He's young, but the thing is, like, he's a quality player. He got, especially in his Washington days, he got some starts. You know, when that
True.
team was falling apart. That particularly, I mean, when aren't they falling apart? But you know, he's a good like bench depth piece for any team that gets him. And if he's in Portland, so that's a good pickup for the. I think he should make the team, no problem.
Oh, I agree. I mean, to be honest, Portland has made some pretty good moves to like kind of revamp the team real quick around Damian Lillard. Not to say they're not like any kind of contending team right now or anything, but I mean, having Simons, Josh Hart, Jeremy Grant, Nurkic is still there. They have some people
Drew
around Dame that are
Eubanks,
good. Eubanks,
Drew Eubanks, the guy who saved my ass in fantasy basketball last season.
exactly. They also drafted Shaden Sharp. I mean, Sharp could turn out to be somebody pretty good. Keon
Yeah,
Johnson,
Johnson.
Brandon Williams.
To see, yeah. That's
I
funny. We said
mean,
Keon Johnson at the same time, who
I
looked
know.
shit hot in summer league, but he's another one.
Exactly.
He's going to average 3.2 points per game this season.
Probably. And then, I even forgot about Nasir Little and Trendon Watford. Oh, and they got Gary Payton.
There's a reason you forgot about Little.
I mean, true. He was supposed to be a lot better than what he is, but
He can't stay on a team, but Gary Payton was huge.
yeah. No, that was a big signing for them.
So they should be a playoff team as long as Dame Dalla stays healthy.
Exactly. I mean, it all starts and ends with Dame right now. I mean, Simons is looking to be a really good number 2 alongside of him, kind of like how Dame and CJ used to be. But yeah, they got a whiles to go to actually be a real contender.
Really long whiles to go.
Exactly.
It ain't
But
going to be anytime soon.
who's been your favorite player and favorite team to watch in Summer League so far?
That's kind of. You're putting me on the spot now. I didn't know you were going to ask me that type of question.
I just figured I'd throw something out there.
No, I just like the whole experience, but there's a lot of guys who have played really well, like Moses Booty's been playing shit hot. Cam
True.
Thomas at Brooklyn's ready to establish a role. Justin Jackson, you know what I mean? Like that shit's great too. And hey. So yeah, Justin Jackson, Trey Murphy from the Pelicans been playing really well throughout the summer league, and then of course you have the Banchero and the Holmgren, like all those star rookies. But I'm like, okay, like it's cool to see those guys and stuff, but I want to see like the Keon Johnsons, like we were talking about. I want to see Cam Thomas. I want to see like David Duke and all these other like guys who like got some run last year, but weren't a stable presence in like a rotation. I wanted to see I like seeing those guys because we're going to see plenty of Chet Holmgren. We're going to see plenty of Banchero. We're going to see Keegan Murray. We're going to see plenty of him. Dalen Terry. I've just been surprised with him. His turnovers have been fucking horrible. He had a game the other night. He only had 3, but there was a game before that he had 7, and then a previous game before that he had 6. I'm like, bro, you ain't gonna fucking start. You keep doing, or even get any minutes. He's probably not gonna start, but he's not gonna get anything if he's doing shit like that.
Exactly. Speaking of like surprising, I mean, I was always big on Jabari And honestly, he hasn't been that impressive. Like, his shot looks good and everything, the mechanics are good and all that, but like when I watch Houston, I'm not like, oh yeah, that guy was a top 3 pick. I mean, right now, from the NBA website, it looks like he's putting up, what is that, 15 points per game on like, he's played 4 games so far. He's shooting 40% from the floor and only 26% from three. And that's like supposed to be his main calling card is his 3-point shooting.
Honestly, I think right now the way things are looking out, I think your rookies of the year, you got Banchero's going to be in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
Chet's obviously going to. Chet's going to start right away. And not only is he
Yeah.
going to start, he's going to be the. He's probably going to be the leading. Well, no, the second between or after Gilgeous Alexander. But considering Gilgeous Alexander can't stay healthy to save his fucking life, there's a chance Chet could even surpass him.
True.
Giddy's there. You know, they got the thin towers, but Chet's going to be in the conversation. Banchero's going to be in the conversation. And also, Keegan Murray's been playing really. His shooting has been kind of shit, but he's a guy who could start right away in Sacramento.
Oh,
and he's a guy who can be a media contributor and enter the Rookie of the Year conversation.
Agreed. I mean, I could see Ivy up there in the Rookie of the Year conversation as long as, he doesn't have like the Ja Morant syndrome where he just like goes too hard, too fast, and gets hurt all the time.
Yeah, my problem with the Ivy thing, though, is he's going to Detroit. All right, there are guys in Detroit who can score besides him. If you put Chet in OKC, right, you have Gilgeous Alexander can score, but a guy like Giddey is capable of, like, being a distributor. And outside of, like, really that's all you're going to get. So he could be, like, the main focal point. I don't see Ivy doing that in Detroit. Banchero is in Orlando. So, I mean, there's nobody who can fucking score on that team. And Murray, just because I think he can start, and I think when you're surrounded by like those quality players like a Fox or Sabonis and Davion Mitchell and things like that, like things are going to open up. So he's going to be in the Rookie of the Year conversation.
True. Very true. I mean, I could also see like Benedict Mathurin. I mean, off of only his 22 minutes a game, he's been putting up in his 3 games 19 points. Wow, they make this really hard to read. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist a game, not even averaging a turnover, 1.3 steals. And
he's on the Pacers, though.
True, but like that's the thing. The Pacers now are just a bunch of young guys. Like, especially because they're definitely going to be trading Miles Turner. I mean, that's inevitable.
I don't know. You see, like after, I mean, you knew they were going to match, or you knew they were going to make that offer for Ayton.
Right.
But then it was like it wasn't surprising, but it was surprising at the same time that Phoenix decided to match the offer sheet. So. I don't know. I mean, they might be stuck with Miles Turner for another season, especially like they have Goga Batadze, who's a pretty fucking good player. Like he's a good defensive player, especially, and good on the glass and things like that. Kind of big, was in and out of the lineup toward the end of last season with a foot issue. So his durability might be cause for alarm. But then again, Miles Turner hasn't exactly been the healthiest guy on the planet either throughout his career. So,
not at all. He's had foot issues or like knee issues all the time.
And then they have Jalen Smith in the front court. So I mean, they have options. It's not going to be like a consistent. I think they're going to have a lot of starting lineups next year.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be a rebuilding mode going forward. And then there's talk about them moving Buddy Hield. Which could happen now that, and I'm not segueing yet, but which could happen now that Ayton is staying in Phoenix. which in turn is probably going to cause Durant and KD to stay in Brooklyn, which in turn is going to have the Lakers look for another option, and Buddy Hield is on the radar. So
Yep. No, that's very true. I just figured, like, with the Pacers, especially since they didn't get DeAndre Ayton, that they probably weren't going to be, forcing any kind of playoff run or playoff push or anything like that. And honestly, I mean, they got the one of the best returns they could for Sabonis getting Halliburton back. I mean, he's been great, especially after the trade and everything. He's been amazing for them so far. And on top of that, there's there's no injury issues or injury bug with him compared to Malcolm Brogdon, and they shipped Brogdon out of there. I mean, they didn't get much in return for him, but like as much as you can get for Brogdon.
You had to get Brogdon out of there. His durability is always an issue too. Sabonis is just a quality all-star caliber player, though. So they did get Halliburton. Halliburton's capable offensive presence. He's going to be leading that team, looks like, for the foreseeable future. He's going to get nothing but better. He's going to be in the all-star conversation for sure. Now it's gonna be interesting to see what Indiana does, and they're not a playoff team right now, though. But then again, what the fuck do we know? They could be a playoff team. They might be this year's. I don't know. I can't think of a comparison, but I guess a play-in it could happen. Especially if Buddy Hield stays and he starts playing up to, because when Buddy Hield's not a bad player. When he was in New Orleans, he was a good player. When he was in Sacramento, he was okay. Like, he's been a good player where he's never been like great, but he's never been horrible.
True. I mean, that's very true. I mean, you even have like Duarte is pretty good. They don't have TJ Warren anymore, but they have a couple like
they have another TJ. Your man's.
Damn right they do.
Your man's.
My boy TJ. I tried bidding on him in our auction draft, and I was like, all right, no one's really gonna put that much money down to get TJ. So I was like, I'll put like $3-4 down. He's up to like $7-8. I'm like, for TJ?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of money left to spend, so I'm just gonna. I purposely didn't bid on anything today because I'm waiting for everybody else to spend their money, and then I'm hoping to just fill out the rest of the roster moving ahead.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We'll definitely talk about our draft here in a little bit later, but because this thing is crazy,
it's fucking nuts.
It is. I've never done a draft like this or a league like this, and honestly, I'm like excited to keep going and actually have everything start because it's just gonna be fun. But as far as summer league goes, I'm not surprised that guys like Banchero and Chet and all them are getting shut down because they've proven that they can really play and they're going to have a starting spot. They're gonna get plenty of minutes and everything. So don't get them hurt in summer league. I mean, we saw Ivy land on a guy's foot and his ankle turned weird and was limping off the court. So you definitely don't want that to happen in essentially something meaningless when you already know they're going to be on the team.
Liddell tore his ACL.
Yep.
Not that that's a huge, but I mean, still, things can happen.
Exactly. And it's sad to see, especially for these young guys battling for a roster spot to get hurt like that. And meanwhile, you have some other guys, not exactly rookies, but other like second-year guys playing pretty well. Miles McBride is one for the Knicks that I thought looked pretty good. But obviously he has some more room for improvement because a lot of people were expecting a little bit more out of him.
Because it's the Knicks.
Exactly. Josh Christopher looked decent for Houston. The shooting percentages were not great, especially from three, but the rest of it, not terrible. I also liked David Duke Jr. He looked pretty good. Who else? Chris Duarte played pretty well in his one game that he played. Mac McClung actually had some really good minutes in the games that he played as well. Um, and Delano Banton for the Raptors. He's a guy that
Oh no! Don't
I have
stop.
always said that I think he's gonna crack a rotation and he's gonna be a good role player.
Yeah, cracking
He's
no
looked
rotation.
decent.
It's
He's
summer
looked
league.
decent.
It's summer league.
I'm just saying.
Sorry, honey, he ain't cracking no rotation.
He's got a great build to be a NBA point guard too.
We'll see. He's buried. He's so buried on that depth chart. It's not even funny.
True. I mean, you still have to get through Malachi Flynn, let alone Fred VanVleet.
And Svi Mihailuk.
Exactly.
Svi. Yeah, but don't worry. Fred VanVleet will be injured 3 games into the season. So, and I love him too, but I mean, his durability is kind of questionable as well.
No, that's true. That's also true. But so I mean, the one thing for the Knicks though, Quentin Grimes has looked pretty good. I mean, Quentin Grimes has at least looked like what they were hoping him to look like. But it is crazy that he's been jacking up 11 threes a game.
Well,
I mean, he's just pure green light.
We'll see how it all turns out here in New York. They finally got their wish, but it's summer league. He's still kind of buried on the depth chart too. But the Knicks, they have a capable roster. Tommy T is going to run them into the ground. So, expect Robinson and Randall and Barrett and Brunson and Fournier to get plenty of minutes, and then a guy like Obi Toppin probably might break into the rotation somewhere. Hartenstein might get some action, and then McBride quickly. But you're probably not going to see any other guys really outside of them for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few teams that I've been watching that I'm just like, some of these guys look like they can give you some quality minutes, but just because of the team that they're with, they probably won't get the chance. I mean, you have guys, just as an example, like the Sixers with Isaiah Joe, he probably would get a pretty good chunk of minutes on like half the other teams in the league. But Doc Rivers will never play him.
I can't believe none of us brought him up, because when he was him and Bazzi and
Paul Reed,
fucking B-ball, those guys were playing really good in summer league, and Doc better gives them some serious consideration when it comes to making them permanent fixtures in his rotation.
Completely agree.
Those guys were capable last season. They weren't dominant, but I mean, like you said to me when we were talking on the phone, because we do talk off the show, believe it or not, but you're sitting here, you got DeAndre Jordan, who, I mean, he was a great player back in the day. Now he's old and past his prime, and Paul Millsap, same situation for him. Why not give these guys some experience? Especially if you're in the playoffs, give them floor time, get them experience. They need that kind of thing.
And especially one of the things the Sixers are always looking for is a backup big man to Joel Embiid. Well, you have two guys, young, that you can keep around for cheap for the foreseeable future that Embiid has left in his prime, and groom them to become his backup, just as good as any other backup that they've ever had. So
when Embiid went down in the postseason, while it's good for any team to still believe that they have a chance to pull it off, there should be a reality point where you say, we ain't gonna fucking win. So At that point in time, you're like, okay, well, DeAndre, I love you. Thank you for your services. I loved you in Los Angeles, and this is Doc speaking. You were my boy in LA, but just you got to sit the bench, and we're going to put these young guys in so that we prep them for the future moving ahead, because that's really what's going to matter.
Exactly.
Because as much as Joel Embiid too has improved in terms of his ability to remain on the floor,
Hmm.
He's always, don't tell me that whenever you see him take a fall or take a shot that you don't get a little nervous about it, that this is going to turn into something.
Oh, every single time. Every single time he
Right.
hits the floor, I like my heart skips a beat because I'm like, well,
Right.
there goes the season.
Yep, it's over.
Every single time. Ever since the first season he actually played after missing his first 2 seasons, anytime any awkward landing or anything, I'm just like, there goes the season.
Yep.
It's just inevitable. And that's the thing is like that's why during the regular season, get him a backup big man that can play a little bit more minutes so that we don't have to run him that much and get him into more injury issues. Like,
Right.
let him take his rests. Give him some off nights or whatever it may be during the regular season because as long as you're winning enough and getting into that top 6 and don't have to go through a play-in tournament game, then you're fine.
Yeah, who gives a fuck? Because seeding doesn't really even matter anymore at this point. All these
No.
teams, all these teams are so like good that a lot of teams are in the places they are in terms of their playoff seeding because they rest guys consistently, which forces them to lose more games. And some there's a lot of strategy now in terms of who you're matching up against. So there's oh, maybe we'll lose a couple more games so that we're matched up against, Memphis in the first round. You know what I mean? That type of shit goes on. So
Right.
get them on the floor.
Exactly. And honestly, the last postseason, home court advantage didn't even mean much because a lot of people were winning the away games and losing their home games.
There were teams that played better on the road than they did at home.
Exactly. The Sixers were one of them.
Right. There was a bunch of teams like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, home court's not even really like a thing anymore. At
Right.
least it hasn't been this season. So we'll see what happens moving ahead. But get these guys some minutes. COVID's still here. COVID's not done. There's another variant, I guess, coming around. So, I mean,
Probably always going to be a new variant every like 4 months.
oh, yeah, it's not going anywhere. So you're going to land, there's health and safety protocols are still going to be a thing,
Oh, yeah.
so you just got to deal with it.
Yep, exactly. So we were talking about the Sixers here, so let's segue into that real quick here. The Sixers are apparently going to be investigated for tampering with the whole PJ Tucker signing. For those who don't recall, it was always rumored for him to come to the Sixers once like the offseason pretty much started. The moment free agency started, it was announced pretty soon after that he was going to Philly with his 3-year, $33 million contract. And now that's being investigated. And then on ESPN, Bobby Marks, former Nets GM, actually, he suggested that the Sixers should be investigated due to the contract that James Harden agreed to sign to, because he thinks that just, James Harden couldn't possibly take a discount on his contract. So I don't know. What do you think? Is there any weight to this? Do you think there's actually going to be anything to come out of it?
Well, for all the players to investigate potential tampering, you're going to target PJ Tucker as the guy to form an investigation around. And I'm not like you and I were talking about PJ Tucker last time, and you and I were both singing his praises. And I'm high on PJ Tucker, even at 38 years young. I'm still thinking he's a solid asset to building a championship team. He's proved it in the past. However, if you're gonna, why aren't we fucking talking about Jalen Brunson? Like, why are we talking about PJ Tucker? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And, and believe it or not, there was probably tampering going on. Actually, I'm not going to. I'm not going to say. I'm just going to say probably. I mean, probably tampering going on before even James Harden even went to the Nets. Once it was like a foregone conclusion that like Harden was going to end up with his boy back in Philly. So
Oh, yeah.
that's more Maury. That's more of a tamper thing than PJ Tucker. I'm like, what PJ Tucker? Like, why is this a thing? And believe it or not, like Harden realizes like the Philly fans don't really like him right now. So what's the best way to kind of win him back? Okay, I already have $1 trillion. He has plenty of
Right.
money to spend at the strip club. So
Yep.
he's going to take a pay cut to make his team better. Just because it's not logical or hasn't happened before doesn't mean that it's not capable of happening. I don't think there's any tampering there.
No,
And it
I
was
don't think
fucking
so
PJ
either.
Tucker.
Exactly. Tyler's coming with the fiery comment. That's straight bullshit, man. And he
Tyler.
says the league hates the Sixers. I mean, I could talk about this forever. And I've talked about this on here before, the whole thing that the league stepped in with Sam Hinkie and all that, but they don't step in with Oklahoma City, who's been literally throwing out garbage year after year after year. Now they finally have, Gilgeous-Alexander, Giddey, and all these people, but the league never stepped in on them. So, yeah, this whole PJ Tucker thing is like, honestly, when the numbers came out for PJ Tucker's contract, a lot of people were like, why the hell is Philly even paying him that much money? People weren't going to offer PJ Tucker $11 million a year for 3 years when he's already 37 years old. 38, I think.
He's 38, right? But honestly, I can name a million reasons why PJ Tucker should be worth $11 million a season.
Oh, he should be. I agree. But there's not a lot of people that wanted to give him 3 years, let
But the
alone
Sixers,
3 years,
the
11 million.
Sixers. Sorry, honey, I'm getting
You're
amped
fine.
up now. The Sixers will realize, hey, we're in a position to where we can contend.
Yep.
All right, we have James Harden, who is could possibly be on his way back to getting his shit together. Apparently, he's committed to his conditioning in the off season. He's probably realizing that he didn't play so well. So a guy like that is an MVP, and he's not just one of those fly by Mary MVP kind of guy. Is that even a fucking term? Where did I get that from?
I don't know.
But he's one of the best offensive players that the league has ever seen. So he hears shit, so he knows
Right.
that we're going to try to get back on track here. Joel Embiid is seething for a championship. And the
Yep.
Sixers, the front office there realizes like we have a team that could contend.
Right.
So let's spend the money on a guy like PJ Tucker who can add a bunch of value in more ways than just his offensive prowess
Exactly.
and
And
defensive acumen.
Exactly. And they saw from the postseason that they got punked because they didn't have an enforcer, they didn't have enough defenders, and they didn't have enough two-way guys. So why not get someone who has all three of those things in PJ Tucker? And then on top of that, go out and get another guy like Daniel House and get another guy like DeAnthony Melton. Like, they're doing exactly what they needed to be doing to address the needs they had. But now it's like, oh, there's got to be tampering. There's no way they got PJ Tucker. But it's like the NBA is definitely, especially these days, is definitely a friendship league. Like, these guys make friends with people. They tell them to come play with them, and then they find a way to get to that team. James Harden and PJ Tucker are still friends. They've been friends the whole time ever since they played it together in Houston. And then Daryl Morey obviously has loved James Harden, and then in turn probably also friends with PJ Tucker. So and even Joel Embiid in the post-game press conference and in his exit interview specifically said that the Sixers need more guys like PJ Tucker. So
and remember too, like he was on the PJ Tucker was on the Rockets, so
right, exactly. So I feel like it should have been a foregone conclusion in general. So I don't see the tampering, and what we will get into is one that should be a little more pressing, is the fact that the Knicks might also be investigated for tampering with the Jalen Brunson signing. That is something that's a little more serious than PJ Tucker.
So here's what I'm going to say about PJ Tucker before we move on. Okay, I'm going to name a shit ton of reasons.
Right.
He can get hot offensively. His defense is great. He brings attitude. He brings leadership. He's got a great corner three. He's an enforcer. He's been on championship teams. He's played with some of the greatest players in the league. There's like 8 that I just named right there why he's worth $11 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I told you, I love that signing. He's durable as fuck. Like, he doesn't get hurt. He does get hurt, but he plays through injuries. Like, absolutely.
Completely agreed. But so, now that it comes to the Knicks with Jalen Brunson, we even talked about it before free agency happened, but how they signed his dad as an assistant coach and everything that alone, to me, sounds more like tampering than anything the Sixers did with PJ Tucker. Because now you got the guy's father, who's probably also in his ear like, hey, I'm in New York. You are a free agent. This is the money they're going to offer you. Like, that's just a direct line.
So, something happened, I believe, and don't quote me on this because I'm not making accusations that, I'll explain to you off the air why I'm not, because Big Sexy got a cease and desist about somebody that I forgot to tell you about. So,
God.
Yeah, we'll tell you. So, I'm not making any accusations, but he apparently has a reputation, and I'm talking about Jalen's father, and I'm not saying that I know this 100% for a fact, and I'm not alluding and I'm not misleading to anything. But if it is true, what I'm thinking that people have said about him, to bring that kind of guy to your team when, that's like, it's like, okay, we don't care what anybody did. We want him on the team because we want Jalen Brunson so bad that we're willing to do anything, no matter what the backlash is and all that type of stuff. So,
right.
But at this point in the NBA, like, who cares? Like, everybody's tampering. Like you said, they're all buddies. You don't think
that's what All-Star Weekend is.
In the Olympics, you don't think when those fucking assholes were down on the banana boat, D Wade, Chris Paul, like, you don't think those guys weren't talking about playing together?
Exactly.
You don't see the league popping the banana boat and telling them to knock it off.
Exactly. Like, it's ridiculous.
But if there was any time I wanted Jaws to come in and eat a banana boat, it would have been then.
And Tyler says they also overpaid for him majorly for Brunson.
Well, I mean, when you're the Knicks, you can barely get anybody. That's
yeah.
Nobody wants.
The Knicks are always going to overpay. That's just the Knicks. It's crazy that the Knicks have to do all this just to get like a middle budding star type of player when they have one of the most like historic stadiums. They're in one of the biggest cities. They're in one of the biggest markets. All this kind of stuff. But still, nobody really cares to go play for them.
Yeah. Jimmy D.
Oh, I know exactly whose fault it is.
So.
But it's just like, you have to be especially bad to fuck all of that up. And that's Jimmy D.
Jimmy D. And his stupid band.
Jimmy D and the Straight Shots.
That's right. If you want to hear crappy music, you want an owner who cares about a shitty band more than his multi-billion-dollar NBA franchise, one of the most well-known sports organizations on the planet, this is your guy.
Exactly. And one who kicks out former players of the team from the stadium.
For talking bad about, for actually, stepping up and saying how bad the team sucks.
Exactly.
And not only kicked him out, had him physically escorted out of the building. A guy who was instrumental in helping your team be successful in the 90s.
Exactly. And gave him a lifetime ban.
Yeah, but fuck you. Get out of here. You know what I mean? Get out of here. You can't talk about me like that.
Ridiculous. Honestly, if they had any other owner, even like the Kings owner, they'd probably be better.
Well, the Kings got Sabonis. The Kings got De'Aaron Fox. I mean,
Exactly.
you didn't see those guys saying, I don't want to go to... And Sacramento's widely considered one of the shittiest run franchises on the planet. And then those guys are probably, thank God I'm not going to the Knicks.
Exactly. And Tyler asks, will the Knicks ever recover from the disastrous runs of disappointment?
No.
Only if they finally draft as well as they could. That's literally the only way.
But honestly, during this draft, there was so much movement from the Knicks that I don't even know what the fuck they were doing.
Oh, they were literally just clearing up room to offer all that money to Brunson. That's it.
That was it.
That's all they were doing. Yeah. That was their whole game plan.
I would have loved it if that didn't work out.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
But
if they got rid of all those people and he stayed with Dallas.
But you're telling me there's no tampering when these guys are literally unloading every possible piece they can get to clear cap space, and there's no tampering there. They knew what the fuck was going on.
And there was that article that Mark Cuban said he never even got a meeting with Brunson after it was reported that the Knicks offered him that contract.
Right.
So
which I don't understand the logic behind Brunson wanting to go to the Knicks. I mean, yeah, you want it, but he would have got more money by staying in Dallas. Mark Cuban
and more playoff success.
Yeah, I think it might be. I mean, he'll get his production just because he's one of the only capable offensive threats that's consistent for the Knicks. Because Julius Randle, he's definitely taking a step backward. Mitchell Robinson ain't scoring.
Nope.
R.J. Barrett, you kidding me? He ain't doing shit. Fournier ain't doing nothing. You think Quickly and McBride are going to do anything? Jalen Brunson may be an all-star just by the simple fact that he's going to take 29 shots a half this season.
Oh, yeah.
So if I do the math, that'd be 9, 8, 1. Is that 58 shots a game?
Yeah.
All right, so you're going to take 58 shots a game.
And Jalen Brunson is going to have to be Luka Doncic for New York to have any kind of success.
Well, that's what he's going to do. Well, I mean, he's going to be in that Luka role, meaning he's going to get the ball plenty.
Oh, yeah. He's going to get all the attempts and all the green lights and everything he could ever want.
He'll average over 20 easily.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he averaged 24 and 6.
I think he could even go over 24, to be honest with you. Colin Sexton averaged 24 in the year before last in Cleveland, and there was plenty of other guys who could score. So Jalen Brunson literally he might be one of the highest averaging point per game leaders, scorers in the league.
I could see it.
He's gonna be he's gonna be on the cusp of being an all-star.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. So that being said, let's go to the other team in New York real quick. So as of right now,
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, by the way.
Oh, we don't have to.
Thank you.
But as of right now, and we will talk about this right after, Phoenix matched Ayton's offer sheet, so that means they cannot trade him. That was one of the big things that was going to be used in the trade to get KD to Phoenix. So now it's looking more likely that Kyrie and KD stay in Brooklyn. But there's also been rumors of 4-team deals and multi-team deals that gets KD to Miami. And the Sixers are involved and a bunch of other teams are involved and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, there's the whole Kyrie to the Lakers. But if KD doesn't go, I highly doubt they do a deal to bring Russell Westbrook in because I don't think KD's you know what? Let's run it back with Russell Westbrook. Even though he probably should over Kyrie. But I don't think he's in the ownership's ear saying that. So, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that it is just going to be a run it back type of year because it's kind of just well, we can't do anything now, or is it just going to have to wait to see if they could make like this huge deal? And as you talk, I'm going to turn this light on real quick.
You go ahead. Well, folks, the Nets are a fucking disaster right now. So nobody wants to. No, and people they finally realize that Kyrie Irving, like it's nice that that teams around the leagues have finally smartened up to realize that Kyrie Irving is a pile of hot garbage on a 103-degree day in New York City. Like, he's just completely the most talented guy in the world, but is the biggest pain in the ass possibly in the history of the NBA. There might not be a player that is more needs to be coddled. And you want to know something? His buddy KD is right there with him. KD is very injury prone. Is a very, very dominant offensive presence. One of the best players in the league, but I don't think people want to deal with that type of shit right now. So, right. I mean, bringing KD to Phoenix would obviously put them on the map to be a championship contending team. However, they're probably like this. We already got Chris Paul, so he's hurt more than fucking anybody. And why are we going to bring KD in? Because the wind blows sometimes and he gets hurt. And honestly, like, I've been watching like some stuff with KD. He's got some issues, man, like with just getting along with people. And I guess I never realized it or wanted to believe it, but he's just not somebody who's as a leader in terms of like being a vocal presence. One thing at least I could give to LeBron, even though he's a dipshit too, is the fact that at least LeBron will get in guys like face and be like, and guys listen to him. Like, there's no doubt. Sure. Like, KD literally just sits there, doesn't say anything to anybody, and just acts like he's going to jump off a bridge at any moment. Like, he literally looks depressed all the time.
He actually does. That's true.
So nobody literally wants to deal with that. Kyrie, especially too, and once the Timberwolves got like 4 first-rounders and a pick swap and all this other shit for Rudy Gobert, the price went up, as it should have. And now everybody's like, I ain't fucking paying that. Especially for a guy that could literally break an arm here at any point in the season. Then we're fucked moving ahead. Plus, he's 34 years old. Right. And Kyrie's only going to play 15 games anyways, so.
Exactly. And that's my thing, too, is with KD. I mean, first off, Minnesota, you guys are fucking idiots with how much you offered to really get Rudy Gobert. Like, all of that for Rudy. I could go off on that for days.
But why Tyler, do you care? It's Minnesota.
Tyler also agreed. They did ruin the trade market with that trade. Well, that's kind of why I hate it, because now, like, as from a Sixers standpoint, if they try and trade Tobias Harris and stuff, like, the value of that isn't going to return much when you had to trade that much to get Rudy Gobert. And then with KD, my other thing with that whole deal is with how much they want in return, these other playoff contending teams aren't going to want to make the deal, because then, sure, you have KD, but then you just sapped the rest of your team and the rest of your future. So then you might not even be a championship contender after making the deal. Like, sure, you'll have Chris Paul, KD, Devin Booker. But you would have had, say, you know, they did trade Ayton. You would have had to trade Ayton, Mikal Bridges, probably like Cam Johnson, and then like 5 or 6 picks and pick swaps. So now, who do you have? You have Chris Paul, who's going to get hurt, KD, who could get hurt, Devin Booker, who usually stays pretty healthy, and then Jay Crowder. And Biyombo, that's supposed to be a championship team?
Damn right it is. Here's what I equate, though, to that trade for Rudy Gobert. All right. The comparison should be, remember how when COVID first started and everybody was frantic? And what's the one thing everybody ran to? At the grocery store.
Oh, toilet paper?
Toilet paper, right? So all of a sudden, toilet paper became so valuable that people were literally willing to pay anything to get their hands on toilet paper. Did they really need that much toilet paper? No, but they paid it anyways. So what did that do? Okay, it made toilet paper like more valuable for some reason. Even though you don't really need toilet paper to live, you can just jump in the shower if you want to go, if you want to go that approach, if you have a bidet, if you have, wipes of some sort, you can use that. You can use a fucking towel you can use literally anything to wipe your ass. So, but for some reason, toilet paper became valuable, so people were really looking to get that toilet paper. My point here is that, Rudy, that deal is toilet paper. All right, people are going to come back down to realization, and they're going to say, okay, well, that was a trade that was a little out of hand, and we can't base trades off of that because then that deal's never going to get fucking done.
Right. And I think it'll just take the end of this offseason to then say, like, all right, yeah, that trade was dumb. Like, next offseason, it's not even going to...
And I don't know why toilet paper was a thing.
I don't either. Honestly, when you started making that comparison, I thought you were comparing Rudy Gobert to toilet paper because he's shit. But...
Well, there could have been double meanings hidden in there somewhere.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
You heard it here first. Rudy Gobert is the NBA version of single-ply toilet paper.
And I know you hate Rudy Gobert, but do I think Rudy Gobert's shit? No. But do I think that deal was shit? Absolutely. Total shit. Actually, there's not enough toilet paper that's going to be able to wipe the collective asses of all the teams in the NBA because that trade was such shit. That trade was that was like after eating fucking 20 Crunch Wraps from Taco Bell and then just shitting your brains out, and that's the equivalent of how bad that deal was.
Agreed. 1,000% agreed. And Tyler asked the question here, so if KD and Kyrie actually do stay, would they not play at all next season? Is that a possibility? I think that's a possibility for Kyrie. I don't think KD would... maybe I'm giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt, but I don't think KD would just sit out the whole season without like not being hurt or anything.
Now, here's what will happen. They're not going to not play, but they could easily sprain a knee that's going to hold them out for 3 months.
They could pull a James Harden and just play like shit, too, until they get traded.
Right. Well, at least Harden was smart enough to be like, my hamstring hurts.
That, too.
Kyrie knows what he's doing. He's a master of not playing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Like as good as he is talent-wise, like as a player, he's even better at not playing than he is playing.
Oh, he is great at coming up with excuses to not play.
Amazing. So we had the vaccine. Yep. His sister died or something, or he went to his sister's birthday or some shit like that.
I think it was the birthday. Because if his sister died, that's a plausible excuse.
No, I think he said. I'm saying I think he like alluded his sister died, but I'm on crack. Obviously, he went to his sister's party. I think he's used depression before.
I think so. Yeah. He needed. Oh, what was the one? He needed like a sabbatical or like a mental break or something like that.
And that was while he was at Brooklyn. He said he's got to leave for like personal. Like, so if anybody knows how to not play, it's him.
Right.
He's the best. There's never been a player who's better at not playing than Kyrie Irving.
Right. Oh, when the Black Lives Matter movement first started up, that's when he was like, like I can't play. I'm too like involved in everything.
Right. Yep, you're 110% correct. So he's a master too of using current events to actually to use that to his advantage. Like he actually gives a shit.
Right. Because I mean, the rest of the NBA was still doing Black Lives Matter things, but just right before the games or during the games or at halftime of games, like they were still playing, but also still for the cause.
Right.
So,
I mean, the entire Bucks team took the night off. But at least the whole team did it, like as a collective group. Like that, I could understand. But Kyrie was like too distraught, can't do it. You know,
Exactly.
like for some reason he can relate to every black person in America, counting his millions of dollars. But for some reason you know, I
Yeah.
digress.
But anyway, before we get before we get too deep into all that, we didn't want to stay on this topic for long either.
It's your fault.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So going back to why they could be staying in Brooklyn, Phoenix matched Aiton's offer sheet from the Pacers. So where does Phoenix go from here now? I mean, do they try and make another deal for somebody else to like get some more bench people in there? Do they, look for another star to maybe replace Chris Paul? Because how much does Chris Paul actually have left? I'm honestly kind of wondering because right now, don't get me wrong, I love DeAndre Ayton and I love his game and I think he's going to get better, but I think right now that the Suns have kind of maxed out their potential with this current team, especially because I don't think that Chris Paul is going to continue to be this good for much longer, let alone maybe even this coming season. So, where do they go from here?
They don't go anywhere. I mean, they. This is it. This is the last season. They need to try one more time because they've been close. But after this,
Right.
Chris Paul he's been breaking down over the years, but I feel like it's gotten even worse over the last couple of seasons in terms of his ability to actually stay healthy and on the floor. Devin Booker's not the most healthy guy on the planet. And the only, when Ayton doesn't play, at least it's because he gets suspended for PEDs. So, you know, um, yeah, they got to run it back. But I mean, shit, they a lot of the guys on their team are either really young or really old, aka Jay Crowder and Chris Paul, and they better be, looking at guys like Shabbat and Campaign and guys like that, and bringing back a guy like Biombo was good, but
Right.
so yeah, really it all starts. So they have to repair the relationship with DeAndre Ayton because after literally like trashing him indirectly, now you're saying,
Yep.
"Nah, we were just fucking kidding. Come on back. We like
Yeah.
you."
For the longest time, they kept saying they weren't signing him, and they weren't giving him a max, and they weren't doing this, and they weren't doing that.
Right. Instead of saying all the good things that he's done, well, but now all of a sudden the Pacers are like, you know what I mean, and doing the wink. Hey, come here, honey. Come on, get over here. See you, fucking sexy thing. And then all of a sudden the Suns are coming back with flowers. And, hey, baby, we're so sorry. We didn't mean it.
Exactly.
Come back. Oh, you're so pretty, DeAndre. Get back here. That's exactly what it's like.
It is. It's true. It's 100% true. And the thing is, like you said, I mean, yeah, you got to run it back with this team because yes, you got to the finals the one time. Then this year, you had some unfortunate injuries and didn't make it back to the finals this past year. But yeah, I don't know. I like a lot of the pieces of the team. Like I really like Booker and Bridges. I like Ayton and I like Cam. There's a lot of people to this team that I like. Even Campaign. Like I like these guys on the team, but I just think that there's gotta be one more. Maybe Ayton turns into that, but there's gotta be one more star to superstar type of player. And I just, as much as I always respected Chris Paul, I just don't think it's going to be him. It has to be someone else.
If the Suns were better at tampering like the Clippers were, they could have got John Wall for a cheap price. So,
very true.
But yeah, they better. Ayton's probably strutting his stuff right now in Phoenix. He's probably got booty shorts on, his ass is hanging out. He's checking. You know what I mean? He's like, like when the wife isn't getting the attention at home from it. She's like, I try to do all this good things around the house, and then they go out and all of a sudden they get into an emotional relationship with somebody. and that was
Yeah.
the Pacers. But they pay attention to me. They made me feel things that I haven't felt in a long time. And the Suns are like, "Sorry, baby, we'll change, honey. We
And
love
in
you
the
so
end, they never
much."
change.
Right, and then they come back, and then the year, a year later, all of a sudden they're like, never mind.
Exactly. They're like, we're trading you now.
Yeah, get lost. Your pot roast sucks. Get lost.
Oh, God. So, to wrap things up, the play-in tournament will be sticking around for the foreseeable future. It looks like so the first 2 or 3 seasons it was set to a vote like at the end of each season to see if it would be extended each year, and they finally took it to a vote and said like it's gonna stay around. I for one love the idea. I know we've talked about it before, but I think the competition for the play-in tournament is great. I think it adds a whole new level of like excitement and everything like that, and it really just I think it definitely persuades teams to just like, you know what, fuck it, go for it. We're gonna see what we can do. We're gonna try and make a playoff run. Or it makes teams like really fight for those top 6 seeds so that they don't have to be in that position where they could have one bad game and be eliminated from the playoffs. So I love it.
Well, the playoff tournament too is like the chick walking by the construction workers, like, hey. I can't stop using these references, but that's what it's like because the NBA is like, holy fuck, we're making a ton of money. The ratings are great. We got to keep this thing around. Some of the players probably absolutely loathe it, but the teams that like normally wouldn't have a shot at making the playoffs are like, yeah, okay, I'm down. Plus, the NBA gets more games on TV, and one thing the NBA is hurting for is a little cash right now. I mean, they're not hurting, but they've lost money, so they're like, fuck it. I would even go on to say that they're going to probably expand this fucking thing in the next couple of years.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be surprised if they all of a sudden make it like. I mean, I hope they just keep it one game instead of like best of or anything like that because I think the one game adds more excitement to it. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if they expanded it, if they made it, to go to more seeds or whatever it may be. But
I love the format. I love how you got the two teams. They play, the winner plays, and they make it. And then the other two teams, the one team that loses is bounced, and then the other one plays the loser at it's such a fucking mess, but I love it.
Right. I do too. I think it should stay. I'm glad it's staying, and I think it's gonna be fun for years to come.
It's cooler too than like wild card.
Agreed.
Like you know how like baseball's like we have 19 wild card spots up for grabs now. It's like, okay, so basically we're in the regular season still.
Oh yeah, I mean and like even with the NFL is like they added another wild card team and everything, and it's like I mean that's great, but I kind of like the competition to get into that spot in general.
Right.
Like that's the thing that's entertaining, and especially because it could be a young team that's like really trying to compete for the first time.
Right.
So like that makes it even better.
No, I like it. I hated it when it first started, but now I love it.
Right. So I think that's it for us, unless you got anything else to get off your chest.
Now I'm hungry. I'm ready to get.
I hear that.
Fucking starving.
I hear that 1,000%.
What are you gonna eat tonight?
I'm not sure. We talked about getting some Wawa, but I just realized that I never hit send on my text to Deanna to tell her what I wanted.
Should bring her up here. We'll have you guys talk about it on air. I want to see how a discussion actually works. I want to see how other couples solve their dining issues outside of mine, because maybe I can learn something, because I haven't fucking figured it out, because every time it turns into an argument.
What, like where you're going to eat?
What do we want for dinner?
Oh, okay.
And then I say, I don't care. My wife gets mad. She suggests 4 things, and then I say, nah. Well, then obviously I do care because I'm saying no to like 4 different things. And then my default is always, oh, let's just order a pie.
Right. I mean, we both usually are like, I don't know. And then we're usually like, all right, if you can't think of what you want, what do you not want?
Right.
And then we go from there. So we're like, all right, you don't want this and this. So what about this and this? And then we figure it out from there.
My problem, though, is there's nothing really that I don't want.
True. I mean,
Especially
I usually
when it
can
comes
go
to,
for anything.
now, like some of those options, though, are like, do you want a Greek salad? And I'm like, no. How about a chicken sandwich? Do you want? No. But then, like, if Wendy's enters the equation, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. And then Chinese food, I'm always up for Chinese. I'm always up for pizza. There's a hot dog place. I'm always up for hot dogs.
A good hot dog place. That I don't have any around us now, but I used to when I was working in Pittsburgh. There was a good one down there. A guy who was from Chicago and made like specialized in those Chicago dogs and everything. That was some good stuff.
When I come down and see you at some point, whenever that is, I'm bringing Hoffman's down.
Okay.
Game changer.
Oh, I'm down. I'm ready.
And I'm not bullshitting. It's the best hot dog on the planet.
Oh, I don't doubt that one bit. I'm definitely down for that. And we have a comment here from Cherry Marchetti. She says her husband wants to be a guest on our podcast. Cherie?
Yeah, the lovely Cherie.
Ah, okay.
Beautiful woman. I love. She's just amazing. I love that woman. Yeah, I'll bring him on. He's always good. He's more than welcome.
Definitely. Any week. We're here every week, so for sure. I mean, Dennis, I know since you know her, we'll definitely get that set up.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite people of all time.
Okay. Awesome. But I think that's it for us. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to another episode of the Atlantic Files, the #1 podcast on the #1 division in the NBA, brought to you by the Underdog Sports Podcast Network. And we will catch you guys next week. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We go live any day of the week, usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays, though. So just hit the bell, then you'll know. And she says she loves you too, Dennis.
That's right. Right back at you, honey.
And if you're watching on
There's a reason
Twitch,
they call me Big Sexy. What can I say?
That's true. That's very true. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure you subscribe, follow on there. You'll see whenever we go live on there as well. Everywhere else you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, everywhere. Subscribe, rate, review. It helps us all out. Thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.